So Graham Potter arranged a secret squirrel behind closed doors game of football to keep the team all fit. And anyway, what happened was, I believe the senior team beat the under-18s 5-0. Luis Guilherme scored, apparently, which would be really good for him. Oh, I always like the clandestine matches that happen behind closed doors. I'm quite sure every club does them all the time, but I don't know. There's something quite intriguing about hearing about it. Anyway, it was apparently a chance. This is from ex-West Ham United employee who said this. It was a chance for Graham Potter to give some players a run out, like Guilherme, like Ings, like Irving, and try out some new tactics, apparently, and give the under-18s a hiding. It also explained, by the way, that game, why Caelan Casey and Lewis Orford didn't feature in the under-21 game, which I think was against Derby. But anyway, there you go. Chance for Potter to do a little bit. There's not a lot around at the moment. There's not a lot happening because we're not in Europe. We're not in the cup competition. So we've got a bit of downtime. Very dead March, by the way. It's, 2 games in March, one of which is against Everton. I'm very pleased. I make no complaints. I'm not going to apologise for it. Don't mention Moyes, people are saying. Nah, I will. I'm pleased. I'm pleased that we're above him. I think that is that's good, and I just hope we're there at the end of the season. Obviously, he's done a remarkable job and all that, but come on, it's nice to be above Moyesy, isn't it? It stops what it does. It stops the flow of the trickle. Well, there's been more than a trickle, been a tsunami of the "I told you so's" from the "Be careful what you wish for" brigade. So at least for the moment, that bit stops. Anyway, but we'll be asking you for ideas for videos over the next few days, so stay tuned for that. Just wanted to talk about a couple of things today, really, as no doubt you'll have seen from the thumbnail. They sort of tie into one, because that's what we're going to do, because I say there's not a lot about at the moment. The Athletic released, or published, should we say, an article today talking about the club are going to heavily back. Actually, no, retract. Heavily was my bit. See, I put my own little twist on that. Are going to back Graham Potter in the summer. There's a difference between heavily back and back, isn't there? The heavily back is you're going to get £150 million like the last bloke, and back is we're going to get you some players. I would expect them to back him. I don't think that part of it was particularly much of a revelation. However, what I did find, it's not so much interesting. I'm not going to tell you anything you don't know, but it's interesting to hear it again, which is that we are heavily interested, highly interested, very interested, very, very interested in Jonathan David. Look, my stance on this hasn't changed. We can be as interested as we like in Jonathan David. That don't necessarily mean it's going to happen. I'm very interested in getting a bright purple Lamborghini, but I think that's not going to happen anytime soon, is it? So I just think we missed a boat on that. I'd be amazed. I can't see any reason why Jonathan David would want to come to West Ham, and unless we're going to find out that really, great granddad Uncle David, or great granddad uncle, whatever he is, the family originally hailed from Dagenham or something like that, and his dad used to work at Ford. Or I honestly, I don't know. Used to blend the liquor for Nathan's or so. I don't think there's any reason why he would turn down Champions League football, more money to come to West Ham. I'll tell you what, though, the fact that we are interested, I do think is good, and I like reading it, and it's sort of nice to hear it. If we get him, something has massively changed within the club. I will tell you that now. I don't think, as I mentioned in my other video, I don't think Carl McCauley has come in for that. Sorry, I say I mentioned it in my other video. You haven't seen my other video because I went to the park and I recorded it. I thought I'd record it. I was walking the dog. I'm there. I don't particularly like doing it. I'm walking through the park. Looking at your phone, looking like you're talking to yourself. I'm not talking to myself. I'm not talking to myself. I'm talking to you. But the people in the park are just thinking, what is that bloke doing? You ever seen people that walk around with their phone and they don't? Because I think a phone was designed to talk like that. Have you seen people walk around and talk like that, right, on their phones? And then you can hear the person they're talking to is like coming out the speaker. And I think, does the person you're talking to know that what they're saying is in public? That should be etiquette, right? That should be courtesy to say, hello, mate, how you doing? Just so as you know, everyone in co-op can hear you at the moment. I mean, that would be courteous, wouldn't it? That would be etiquette. And they talk like this. I don't know what. Oh, you carry a pizza like that? Maybe you don't. Anyway, I don't know why I'm moving. Anyway, that's how bad. That's how short we are for time. For news, should I say? Anyway, so I was walking around the park. I thought I'd do a little video for you guys and show you the dog and so on and so forth. But the audio was off. Anyway, but during that video, I was talking about Carl McCauley. I was talking about him being the new Pearl diver, and just probably doing some of the stuff that he did at Brighton and looking to get some players in that maybe we haven't heard of before. I think in certain respects, Chelsea are good at that. I'm not claiming that Carl McCauley did all that stuff at Chelsea. Chelsea have been doing it for years, of course. But they're able to get in a player, and they send him out on loan, and sort of like he either gets into the team or they flog him on for big money, don't they? So I wonder if we'll be doing a little bit of that. So I don't know. Maybe there is money to get someone like Jonathan David, but I just think the more you hear, and certainly the more you hear about the way we've gone about trying to get his Lille teammate, Angel Gomez, who is also available on a free transfer, you just think something would have to drastically change. If it did and we did get him, it would mean that something very good is happening at West Ham. I'm just not convinced. I think I need to see a little bit more evidence on that, really. Which sort of ties us into the other feature of the video, I guess, which is Evan Ferguson. And I think I'm going to take a little bit more time to... well, you have to. I'm not in. Someone was asking me today. Funny enough, not in the park. I was walking around looking at myself on the phone. I was speaking to someone yesterday, and they were asking about Evan Ferguson. I was just saying, it was a Tottenham fan. Funny enough, I was just saying, I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't know anything about him. I quite like what Potter's done, which is Potter made him apparently, as far as I know. Sorry, look, I'm getting everything wrong today. I'm not even muting my bloody phone, am I? Potter made him his number one transfer target, apparently. Got him. But he's not thrown him in there. And I think there is a certain level of fitness. I don't think it's just fitness. I actually think that maybe, just maybe, he looked at it and he thought, well, you know what? Actually, I just prefer Kudus and Bowen up front. And I like that. Maybe not long term or anything like that, but I do like the fact that when a manager comes in, I've already said this about Potter, about him talking the talk and walking the walk. And for him to come in and say everyone here gets their chance, and I think for him to say that and then do it, I think is a very, very good thing indeed, because you've already got this ready-made player who is very, very aware of Potter's training regime, how he might like him to play, how he might like how Potter likes to press, that positionally will understand it. He's got a bit of a head start, hasn't he, on all the others. Yet still, he's saying, well, hold on, I'll leave this guy because I've asked you guys to prove yourselves, and you sort of are proving yourselves, really, back-to-back wins. I quite like it. But in terms of us as West Ham fans, we're not finding out about him too much. There was, when we signed him, there were two versions of the story. And I very much came down on our version of it. That's the one I believed. So it was a loan with no option or obligation to buy. Some people were suggesting it was Brighton that wanted that. It was Brighton because they were so desperate to have this player back. He was such a big part of their plans that they weren't going to let him go, and because they thought he could go on and become £100 million player again and that sort of thing. So West Ham had to accept the loan deal. I don't believe that version of events. I didn't believe it at the time anyway. I think if they could have got rid of him, they certainly would have done. There's nothing I see about Brighton that makes me think that Evan Ferguson is somebody that Herzler is looking to incorporate and entwine into his new tactical system. I just don't believe it. The other version was that, well, actually it was West Ham who just really pushed to have just the loan, which is why negotiations took so long. And I didn't mind that at the time. In fact, I said it at the time. I said myself and Gio were both did videos and did joint videos. Did quite a lot of videos on it, actually. I said, no, we're happy with this. We're happy with it just being a loan deal. And there's a lot of people that weren't happy with it. Why haven't we got the obligation to buy on this player? And I think looking at it, which is one of the things I was talking about, I was walking around the park talking to myself. I think it was the shrewd move. I really do. If he turns out to be absolutely brilliant, yeah, okay, great. But anything could happen, so why wouldn't we just go straight down the middle with it, really? I do think the fact we're looking at other strikers is probably quite a shrewd move. But I've not written off Ferguson yet. Far from it. If he turns out to be a good player, I'd love him at West Ham. No problem at all. I just don't know. In the same way I said the same thing about Nicholas Füllkrug. Didn't know. I just needed to see him play. It was a real shame is that at the very point I thought, I can see what this guy can do. He got immediately injured, but it was far more inconvenient for Hulan Lopetegui and then for Graham Potter than it was for me. I just want to see a little bit more of Evan Ferguson. I'm sure we will. So as I was saying to me mate, I can't make any judgment call on him. I just don't know. There you go. Anyway, that's it. As I say, not an awful lot. It is sunny though. It is sunny. So for those of you that are, unless you're imagine that if you're walking around in the park watching this, listening to me talking about walking around in the park. Enjoy the nice weather. Enjoy the break. You know, we always say West Ham can't ruin your weekend. Not we have been. We're in good form. Back-to-back wins, back-to-back clean sheets. All good there. And I will catch up with you tomorrow.